Welcome back. Folks, there's so much more at stake in this election cycle than just the future of the Oval Office. Here in El Paso, 4 city council seats, also the mayor's office. They're all on the November ballot with many political newcomers coming in trying to unseat the incumbents. Right now, we want to give you viewers at home a detailed look at the candidates running for City Council District 3 and their policy ideas with ABC 7's Eric Elkin.
It's your voice, your vote. Early voting is happening now, and Election Day is only a little more than a week away. El Pasoans in District 3, which includes parts of East and Central El Paso, will be voting for their next council member. On the ballot and joining me now are incumbent Cassandra Hernandez, Will Veliz, and Jose Rodriguez. Each candidate will have 45 seconds to respond, and if necessary, 30 seconds for a rebuttal. You will then be able to each ask each other a question to one of your opponents, and you'll have a 30-second closing statement. And we'll begin with a question for all. And we are going to begin with Ms. Hernandez. This question is related to the pandemic. We're seeing record COVID-19 numbers daily, and we'll still be feeling the effects of the pandemic well into 2021. Do you think the city has done enough? And if elected, what do you propose or will you advocate for to best stop the spread of COVID-19?
Thank you to all the viewers, and thank you to KBIA for putting this together. I do not believe that the city has done enough. Early in March, I was sounding the alarms, urging the mayor and city council to take aggressive action immediately. And then we gave the powers to the mayor so that he can make the decisions with the county judge and our public health authority. Unfortunately, it has not gone far enough. There is a surge in El Paso today, and I have continuously championed multiple items to bring additional transparency, to expand testing, to ensure that clusters and hotspots are released to the public. And unfortunately, those items have been denied by the mayor through breaking ties against our initiatives. And so I would recommend, sorry, I was trying to, my timer went off.
That response, okay. Yep. So we will move on to Mr. Veliz. Mr. Veliz, do you think the city has done enough? And if elected, what do you propose or what will you advocate for to best stop the spread of COVID-19?
No one could have predicted this pandemic from happening. And so like every other community, we were caught flat-footed. And while I'm not currently on council, so I'm not privy to the executive sessions on COVID, I think it was a mistake for the council to not vote to disclose the cluster data. And I think every step of the way, they've been behind the 8 ball. I believe El Pasoans deserve the right to know, to have the best information available and to know where to go with their business and to know what areas to prioritize. And you have all of this coupled with the lack of enforcement on policy and a massive need for more testing center that's barely getting addressed. It is obvious that the current state of El Paso is a direct result of the action and inaction of our current council. So in short, no, I don't think council has done much, has done enough to curb the spread and flatten the curve.
All right, and Mr. Rodriguez, the same question to you. Has the city done enough? And if elected, what will you advocate for in order to best stop the spread of COVID-19?
Well, it was enough to warn people of what was happening, to predict that it was going to get worse before it got better. And also, but the problem is that people do not think that it's going to affect them, that it's somebody else's problem, not theirs, that they're doing all they can. They see Trump's rallies, they see people without masks, so they say, why should we wear masks? It's if the president says that it's safe, then it must be safe.
All right, and we'll reverse the order here for the second question to all of you. So, Mr. Rodriguez, we'll start with you. We hear constantly from El Pasoans frustrated about their property taxes, which are among the highest in the state. Would you support budgets moving forward that would raise the effective tax rate?
The taxes are inevitable. We have to cover the city expenses, but I think it's being spread out unevenly, unfairly. The whole burden is falling on the middle class. Something has to be done. I'm not sure if this would work, but the tax rate should remain high enough to cover the budget that's being proposed, but there should be relief in the form of exemptions based on income. This would equalize the tax base.
Ms. Hernandez, if reelected, would you support budgets moving forward that would raise the effective tax rate?
So in 2019, the state put a cap on how much city councils, municipalities across Texas can raise taxes. And so now it is the voters' decision to raise taxes over that cap. And so it is not a secret that the burden has been on homeowners, which is why since I've been elected to council, we have worked very hard to find additional revenues to offset the burden from taxpayers to user fees, as well as bridge fees and other enterprise funds, to include street maintenance funds. So there are things that are critical that need to be paid for. And so to be honest and straightforward to the voters, we're going to have to pay for major infrastructure needs. And so I don't have the authority to approve millions and hundreds of millions of dollars of those needs. So it's going to have to go to the voters for bonds for many various different things like public safety, public bonds, police and fire infrastructure, as well as street infrastructure. So if we want the things we need, we have to pay for it. But this is in response to historic neglect from the city of El Paso. And so since I've been on council, we have urged for additional revenues that's going to help El Pasoans.
Okay, that's time for that one. So, Mr. Veliz, you have 45 seconds.
Certainly. And then the question again, Eric, please.
Would you support budgets moving forward that would raise the effective tax rate?
Absolutely not. You know, we've had a representative each year outside the pandemic has voted to raise the tax rate, has voted in her voting record. And that, coupled with the fact that council has a bad habit of giving out big incentives for companies to relocate to El Paso with mediocre to poorly paying jobs, is a desperate change that we need to this system. You know, I support the incentives to companies, but on a reward-based and tiered-based system that will bring in jobs, and tiers that will that are based around the median salary of these jobs being high, the community investment into El Paso as a whole, but also that they're increasing jobs every year for the extent of the investment. But if you look at, you know, we have the highest residential tax rate in the nation as El Paso, and we still have roads that need repairing. You know, residents in the district want to know where our tax money is going. If we still have these roads, we still have testing centers that need to be set up.
Okay, Mr. Veliz.
It's unfortunate, and I'm absolutely against the tax increase.
And that's time. So, Mr. Veliz.
And may I respond, because he did mention?
Sure, you've got 30 seconds to respond.
Sure. And so my opponent says that I've raised taxes every year. What he's not saying is that I've approved and supported exemptions for our senior citizens. That's over $20 million of savings for El Pasoans. He doesn't mention that I've supported the homestead exemption every year since I've been in office. So the reality is that when we approve bonds, you're going to get increases from the different various taxing entities that I only account for the city's portion. And so let's be honest with the constituents and with the voters that these increases are already factored in due to the bond increases.
All right, Ms. Hernandez, that is time. So we do need to step aside, take a brief break, but when we come back, we'll resume the conversation with the candidates for El Paso City Council District 3.
Egregious. That's what the Albuquerque Journal called Yvette Harrell's secret sweetheart deal. Harrell's company made $440,000 in government contracts, but Harrell didn't disclose it. And when she got the chance, Harrell helped direct over $500,000 to an organization run by her family. Using her position to cash in for herself? Egregious. We can't trust Yvette Harrell. House Majority PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It's Chevy Truck Month. It's Deck Building Month. It's Toy Hauling Month. It's Explore New Ground Month. It's the month to get things done. Make it your own and make every month Chevy Truck Month.
Get a total value of $6,000 on this 2020 Silverado Texas Edition. Plus, now during Truck Month, get a $1,000 accessory allowance towards the purchase of eligible accessories. Chevy drives Texas. Find new roads.
Looking for an education that's reliable and affordable? Enter Strayer. With Graduation Fund, you can save up to 25% off the cost of your bachelor's degree. And now, select master's degrees. Strayer University.
Mark Ronchetti said he'll be, quote, another seat in the Senate for President Trump. And just like Trump, Ronchetti lies and denies. Denying he supports privatizing Medicare, devastating New Mexico's seniors. Denying coverage for people with pre-existing conditions, which ends health care for thousands of New Mexicans. Denying the facts on coronavirus, spreading false information and praising Trump's response as very good.
I stand with President Trump.
You can't deny that.
I'm Ben Ray Lujan, and I approve this message. When you need the latest news, turn to the ABC7 Alert Center.
City, county, and medical leaders across the borderland expressing deep concern after we saw the largest single-day spike of COVID-19 cases to date.
With new details breaking minute by minute, the ABC7 Alert Center has real-time updates to keep you informed and your family safe.
Stay home and only leave your house for essentials, and they're urging everyone to do that.
Only on ABC7, where news comes first.
Welcome back. It's Your Voice, Your Vote. El Pasoans in District 3, which includes parts of East and Central El Paso, will be voting for their next council member. On the ballot, and joining me once again are incumbent Cassandra Hernandez, Will Veliz, and Jose Rodriguez. We are going to move ahead to the portion where we give each of you an opportunity to ask one of your opponents a question, and then you'll have 45 seconds to respond to that question. We'll start with you, Mr. Rodriguez. Please ask one of your opponents a question of your choice.
To just one or to both of them?
To just one, yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Veliz, you as a fellow realtor are pretty much aware of property values. Now, over the years that I've been a realtor, I've seen property values go down in one area and improve in another. And part of that problem is the upkeep of properties. You get one, if you move in, I mean, people buy their house, they would take pride in it, they fix them up, they keep them up, and then all of a sudden, a neighbor lets his property go. He leaves a junk car out there. He doesn't cut his weeds. So when it comes time for him to sell his property, the value goes down because of the property next to him. This is something that should be done. The city can do it. I've seen it where they go and they find the people, they make them clean it. If they don't clean it, then they go in and clean it themselves and put a lien on the property. So this is something that I think should be continued and really strengthened and improved. We need to get rid of unkept properties and junk cars all over the place that bring down the value, the property value. It's not fair that people spend their money.
Mr. Rodriguez, if I may, can you ask Mr. Veliz the question?
Goes down. That's it.
Did you have a question for him then?
Yes. Would you support this process of trying to upkeep property values?
All right, Mr.
Absolutely.
Veliz.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, go ahead, Mr. Your chance to respond.
Okay, absolutely. I mean, you look at El Paso right now, we've had increasing property values, which is great as a whole to economic development within the city. So I would support anything to support the increase of property values as well as the enforcement of beautifying El Paso. I would support all.
Okay, Ms. Hernandez, you have an opportunity now to ask one of your opponents a question.
Sure. So, Mr. Veliz and Mr. Rodriguez, you both know how important fair campaign practices are and how important fair elections are. Mr. Veliz, I have received one of your negative mailers with photos of me indicating that I am not a homeowner and indicating that I do not pay taxes. But if KVIA, I would recommend you go look at the public records. I am a homeowner. I've lived in my home since 2013. But let's clear the record, Mr. Veliz. I have received multiple phone calls and from residents of Cella Vista who claim you do not live on McCabe Street and that your parents live at that home and you do not. So I question, do you live in District 3? Do you live at that home on McCabe? And are you even eligible to run for office and to sit as a city representative? To be clear, I'm not asking how many homes your real estate company has. I'm asking, are you even qualified to sit on the ballot? Because we both know how important fair elections are.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question, Representative Hernandez. Again, I'm a lifelong resident in District 3. 9220 McCabe has been my home since I was 5. Went to Eastwood High School, St. Rayfield Parish, and even coming back from college, every summer that's where I live. And I still currently live with my parents to help take care of them in the home that we all live in. But yes, that is my home. That is my registered address. That's the home of my license. That is where I currently live. And I'm happy to be living with my parents, taking care of them during this time of need.
Mr. Veliz, your turn now to ask a question of one of your opponents.
Absolutely. Representative Hernandez, in the days following August 3rd, 2019, last year, you did many interviews on local and national news regarding the tragedy. And it's been over a year now, and we still don't have a permanent public memorial for the community to mourn the loss of fellow El Pasoans. But while we're still El Pasoans fighting for their lives, your priority became running for mayor. Do you regret putting your personal ambition above the community?
So Mr. Veliz, thank you for the question. And no, that's false. We've already hashed it out, and the results of that election are clear that I am this current sitting representative. The greatness of our democracy is through voting. And so here I am again running for my seat. And to answer your question about August 3rd memorial, we have many plans to put together a memorial separate from Walmart Memorial and separate from the El Paso County Memorial. So what we're going to be doing is reimagining Ponder Park. There's a current temporary memorial there. We're working with the neighborhood associations. El Pasoans deserve a place that they can go to where they feel safe, where they can mourn and grieve the loss of the tragedy from August 3rd. I certainly am not politicizing the tragedy. My opponent brought that up, but to the victims and the families who have lost a loved one, rest assured that we're going to bring a world-class memorial for our families and for El Pasoans to grieve at.
All right, we will finish this debate now with each of you getting 30 seconds for your closing arguments, closing statement. So we will start with Ms. Hernandez. 30 seconds to you now.
So I've been in this position for 3 years now, and the results of this election are critical. There is so much at stake. We have a pandemic, we have an economy and that is in shambles. We have an unemployment rate that is too high. You need a representative that's experienced, that understands the foundations of government, that is going to work hard, that's going to push back when the mayor or when the public health authority or when the city manager is wrong. I am an independent thinker, I am strong-minded, and I keep the priorities of District 3 residents at heart. So I'm here to humbly ask for your support again so I can continue to be the representative that we need for the district. Thank you for watching.
Mr. Veliz, 30 seconds to you.
Thank you so much. And it's my experience in the $1 billion pension fund of the El Paso Police and Fire, and my experience as a first-time homebuyer specialist and as a business owner of many successful businesses, coupled with growing up a product of the YASD, the East Side, and a lifelong resident of District 3 that drives me to be an advocate for my district. The direction of the city of El Paso isn't just driven by whoever's sitting in the mayor's office. It's driven by members of council. Our city is facing a crisis of meeting our basic obligations to the public. We are in financial turmoil because of the pandemic. We are living in stressful times right now. And more importantly, we have decisions to make as a community. And unfortunately, what we've had so far from Representative Hernandez's tenure has been controversy, violations of public trust, and endless tax increases. It's time for a change, time for a new direction of District 3, and I hope I can count on your support this November.
Thank you, Mr. Veliz. Mr. Rodriguez, 30 seconds to you.
Yes, sir. I feel that the city should be run just like we run our households. We don't spend more than what we get, and a lot of people have gone into trouble because they start using credit. This is what the city is doing. Now, I was working with a state agency one time, and at that time, we had to, every time the budget came around, we had to reduce our department by 10% every year, every time the budget came up. And that was a system that was working very well. The budget was under control. So what I'm saying is that we should run the city like we run our own affairs. We cannot spend more than we have.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez.
Not be going into debt constantly.
Thank you for your response, and thank you to all three of you for your time today. Ms. Hernandez, Mr. Veliz, Mr. Rodriguez, thank you very much. And a reminder to you voters out there, early voting is going on right now, and of course, Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd.